Manuel, Loli, Luis, Mamen, Yolanda, Andrés and Rubén all get their questions answered on this week's podcast. And I'll bring you up to date with what's been happening in our neck of the woods in this week's episode of Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig. Unfortunately, this week without Reza. Hello, and if you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. My name's Craig, and the aim of this podcast is to help you improve your English and take it up to the next level. Now, if you missed last week's podcast with Kevin from deliberateenglish.com, go back and listen. You'll learn 10 expressions to help you have a successful job interview. Go to inglespodcast.com/424. But why isn't Reza with me this week? What's happening in our neck of the woods? Did you hear that expression in the introduction? What's happening in our neck of the woods? What's happening in your neck of the woods? That means what's happening with you? What's happening in your area? What's happening in your world? What's happening in your neck of the woods? Well, in Reza's neck of the woods, he's in Belfast at the moment with his family, enjoying a short summer break. And I just got back from a wonderful holiday in Scotland. I went there for a reunion of family and friends, and it was a fantastic time. I'll speak more about it when Reza is back with us on the podcast. Now, as I mentioned on a previous podcast, Reza had COVID for a couple of weeks. He was also very busy at the end of the academic year, and we were not able to record podcasts for the summer, but I'm trying to keep things going every week so that you have a podcast to listen to, and I promise there will be a podcast every week until I can record again with Reza, which we hope will be at the beginning of August. So 1 or 2 weeks, and then we'll get back into the routine. In the meantime, thank you very much, all of you who have sent voice messages with your questions and your comments. You'll be hearing some today. Please keep sending them because they really help me to give some feedback, comment on your English, help you to improve your English. So please keep sending in those comments and questions. We really appreciate them. We've received some more stories from you, and this was in response to episode 418, a children's story. So if you haven't listened to that, inglespodcast.com/418, especially if you have children. And if the stories you hear today motivate you to tell your story in English, before you record your story, go listen to episode 137, which is called How to Tell a Story in English. And we look at some verb tenses and expressions that can use to make your storytelling more effective in English. So go listen to that first. That's inglespodcast.com/137. Now, first this week, our very first voice message is from Manuel from Colombia.
Hi guys, Craig and Reza. My name is Manuel from Colombia. I've been following your program for several months, and it's a great program for me. I'm gonna thank you in advance for your interesting podcast. Quickly, I will share with you a short history that happened to me when I was a kid. Everything happened when I was about 8 years old. 3 friends, younger, invited me to swim in a bay or a marsh, as we called it. It's a marsh of salt water. Since my town is surrounded by water, in one side there is the sea, and the other side is the Ciénaga del Totumo Marsh. For that reason, it's not uncommon that any child of that age can how to swim. My three youngest friends start to swim and crossed the deep part, and I was the last cross it, but I was near to them about a meter. I thought I was safe on that shallow part. I stopped swimming and tried to stand up, but immediately I went deep into the bottom, but my feet never touched the ground.
Thank you very much, Manuel, for sending in your message. And I really liked the way you began your message and your effective use of the present perfect continuous. You said, I've been following your program for several months. Perfect. Well done. Manuel also used a very colloquial way of saying, I'm going to. He said, I'm gonna. I'm going to, I'm gonna. So I'm gonna, I wanna is I want to, and that's very common in colloquial spoken English, that shortening of the expressions. There's just one small thing I want to focus on at the beginning, Manuel. You said you're going to, or you're gonna share a short history with us. Be careful of the difference between history, History, and story, Story, two different words. History is a subject that you study at school, like geography, physics, chemistry, etc. History, the history of a country, the history of a political party, for example, tends to be very factual and academic. It's a study of the past, the history of the kings and queens of England, for example. Now, a story, what you told, is usually imaginary, it's usually fiction, it's a narrative, and very often it doesn't really happen. Although in your case, it could be a true story, in which case it did happen. So try and make that difference, because I think if you're a Spanish speaker, you use the same word. So history is factual and academic, and a story is usually fiction. It's a narrative. You also use the expression 3 friends younger. It's better to say 3 younger friends. Put the adjective before the noun. You use the word bay in your story. Bay, B-A-Y, is Bahia. It's a part of the coast where the land sort of curves in so that the sea is surrounded by land on 3 sides, and it protects the ships, or it protects the beach, so that the wind and the sea doesn't come in a very strong way. So that's a bay. And another word you used is marsh, which is pantano in Spanish. M-A-R-S-H is marsh. Many listeners might not know that word. A marsh often floods. There's lots of water coming in, and the ground is always wet. Marshes are very often near a river, and you can have a marsh of salt water. You said a marsh of salt water. You can just say a saltwater marsh. A saltwater marsh. And another thing we can improve, Manuel, you said, I was the last crossed. Better to say I was the last one to cross. So everybody crossed, and I was the last one to cross, or I was the last person to cross. And another word I liked very much that you used was shallow, which is not a common word for learners of English. S-H-A-L-L-O-W is the opposite of deep. So if you have a swimming pool that is very deep, maybe it's 3 or 4 meters, you can dive into the water. And usually there's a part of the swimming pool for young children where it's only half a meter, and that's very shallow, so not a lot of water. Unfortunately, Manuel, you ran out of time. We didn't hear the end of your story. You started very well, but what happened at the end? Please let us know the end of your story if you can. Next, we have a message from Loli from Spain.
Hi, great. My name is Loli from Spain. I am studying at B2 language school. My main problem is speaking because I usually tend to forget the last letters of words. Therefore, I would like you give me some advice to remedy it. Thank in advance.
Thanks very much, Loli, for your message. I enjoyed listening to it, and I liked the expression you used. I tend to forget the last letters of words. That expression, I tend to. I have a tendency to do something, which really means I usually do it. Yeah, I often forget the last letters. I tend to forget the last letters. And you said, I would like you give me some advice. Better to say, I would like you to give me some advice. When you use the expression, I would like, remember to use the infinitive. I would like to go, I would like to have, I would like to drink, I would like to visit. And if you're asking another person directly, use the pronoun you. So I would like you, then the infinitive. I would like you to help me. I would like you to arrive early. I would like you to give me some advice. And I can, Loli, I can give you some advice. If you would like to practice your speaking, why not join my next course, my conversation course? It lasts for 6 weeks, and you can read about it at englishmasterclass.net. englishmasterclass.net. It starts on Tuesday, August the 16th. So if you're listening to this podcast before the 16th of August, you have time. If you want to improve your speaking with me and a small group of lovely students who, just like you, Loli, are taking their speaking skills to the next level, sign up for the email list at englishmasterclass.net, and I will be in touch by email with more information. Next, we have a voice message from Mamen from Badajoz in Spain, who has passed an English exam. Well done, Mamen.
Hi, Rosa. Hi, Greg. I'm Mamen from Badajoz. I share with you great news for me. I passed my level B1 English exam. I'm very happy. It has been difficult for me. However, I got it. Thanks for your podcast. Helped me a lot to improve my English. Have a good summer and kisses. Reza, by the way, did you watch the Belfast film?
Congratulations, Mamen, on passing your B1 exam. That's wonderful news. I'm very, very happy for you, and I'm sure Reza will congratulate you as well. Be careful of the pronunciation of past, the past tense of the verb to pass. It sounds like, the ED sounds like a T sound, like a T sound. Past, past. I passed my exam. I like the way you use very effectively present perfect. You said it has been difficult for me. Well done. Very good. And about the Belfast film, I do know that Reza has watched the Belfast film, which was directed by Kenneth Branagh, and he told me he enjoyed it very much. He saw it at the cinema. I have not seen it yet, So I think I'll wait now until it's on TV or on the internet somewhere, because I think there are some films that it's really good to see in the cinema on the big screen. I recently saw Top Gun with Tom Cruise. That was amazing in a big cinema with the sound and the huge screen. But I think the Belfast film, although it's nice to see in a cinema, I think I will enjoy it also on TV. So I'll probably wait now and see that on TV when it's available. So now, Mamen, you can start studying for B2, the next level on your English journey. Good luck with that. Our next voice message comes from Mexico City, and it's Luis.
Hello, Reza and Craig. I am Luis from Mexico City, and I listen to you because, as you say, I want to improve my English. Nowadays, I am in the 50th episode, and I hope in the future, maybe in many months, I could listen to this message. Thank you for do this program. Thank you for teach us how to improve our English skills. And if you come to Mexico in the future, I am going to invite you some tacos, some beers, and many mezcales. I will send you an email so that we can be in contact. Thank you, Reza. Thank you, Craig. Bye.
Thank you very much for your message, Luis, and for your invitation for some tacos and beers. That sounds absolutely fantastic. You began your message, Luis, with I am Luis, which I think is a direct translation from Spanish, soy Luis. The thing is, we don't usually say that in English. The natural way to say it is this is Luis, or it's Luis, the contraction of it is, it's Luis. So, hi, this is Luis, or it's Luis here. And thank you, Luis, for remembering to use the preposition to after listen. We really like it when listeners remember that. So listening to the podcast, remember that preposition to. One small mistake you made, Luis, you said, thank you for teach us English. After prepositions, like for, if you use a verb, it should be the gerund, the ing form of the verb. So it's better to say, thank you for teaching us English. And that's true with any verb. Thank you for coming to my birthday party. Thank you for sending me this email. Thank you for arriving on time. Any verb after a preposition will be a gerund. And one final thing about your invitation for tacos and beers, you said, I'm going to invite you some tacos and some beers. If you want to pay for something for somebody as a present, use the verb to treat, T-R-E-A-T. So you can say, if you come to Mexico City, I'll treat you to some tacos and some beers. I'll treat you to breakfast. I'll treat you to a beer. I'll treat you to a coffee. I'll treat you to lunch. That means you're going to pay. You can also use the expression, it's on me. If something is on me, that means I will pay. For example, if you come to Valencia, Luis, the beers are on Reza. The beers are not on me, the beers are on Reza. No, I'm joking. The beers are on me. So if it's on you, that means you're paying. Lunch is on me. Dinner is on me, for example. Thank you, Luis, for sending us your message. And our next message is from Yolanda.
Hi, Rez and Cray. I'm Yolanda, your follower since 2 years, when my friend Karim told me about your podcast. Since now, I've been learning by myself, but now with your help, I'm improving English skills. I like to congratulate your work at this podcast. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to send you this message. Thanks for all. See you in the next podcast.
Thank you, Yolanda. Really nice to hear from you and get your voice message, which was very, very good. One or two small things we can improve. You said I've been your follower since 2 years. Be careful of the difference between since and for. If you use since, you need to speak about a point in time. So since 2020. I've been listening to you since 2020. I've been watching TV since 5 o'clock. That's the point in the time. So it's from that point until now. I've been on a diet since February. When you use the preposition for, you're speaking about the time that has passed until now. So I've been your follower for 2 years. I've been on a diet for 6 months. I've been watching TV for 5 hours. Now, with pronunciation, there was one small thing which is a problem for many Spanish speakers, and that's when a word begins with a S or a S sound. It's very common for Spanish speakers to put an E in front of it. So you said English skills. No, English skills. I am Spanish, not Spanish. I come from Spain, not Spain. So be very careful when the word begins with S not to put an E sound before it. You also said, Yolanda, since now I've been learning by myself. Very good use of the present perfect, but I would say until now. So since translates in Spanish to desde, and until is hasta. So until now I've been studying by myself. Or you can say up to now, hasta ahora. Up to now I've been studying by myself. Thanks again, Yolanda, for your message. I really enjoyed your lively message and your excellent intonation. I want to mention Rubén from Colombia, who also sent a voice message that I will not play now because we're going to create a podcast focusing on Rubén's suggestion, which was renting or buying houses in English-speaking countries. So yes, Rubén, we will create an episode about that when Reza comes back on the microphone with me. And you also mentioned that you enjoyed our episodes on colloquial expressions. So in the future, yes, we will be creating more episodes around colloquial expressions and informal English. And that's the kind of comment and feedback Reza and I love to get, because we don't know if you're enjoying the episodes. We love to hear from you, ideas and anything you want us to do more of in the future. So please keep sending your feedback and your messages to us. Our final message this week is from Andrés from Colombia, who has a story to tell us. Now, before we listen to Andrés, one or two words that he uses in his message I want to explain to you so that you can enjoy his story a bit better. He speaks about a nudist beach. Now, if you are nude, N-U-D-E, you have no clothes on. Another way to say that is you are naked, N-A-K-E-D. If you're naked, you're not wearing any clothes. And sometimes you can go to a beach to sunbathe and nobody on the beach is wearing clothes. No swimming shorts, no bikinis, nothing. That's called a nudist beach. And obviously, if you go to a nudist beach, what do? You take your clothes off. So Andrés uses that phrasal verb to take off. And correctly, he puts the object in the middle of the verb and the preposition. So Andrés says to take your clothes off. You can also say to take off your clothes. Equally correct. Now, if you take off your t-shirt, if a lady takes off her bra or her top, then the man or the woman is topless. T-O-P-L-E-S-S. So if you're topless, maybe you're wearing shorts or maybe you're wearing a skirt or trousers, but the top of your body is naked. So you are topless, which means without a top, without a shirt or a t-shirt. Andrés also talks about bushes. A bush, B-U-S-H, in Spanish is arbusto. So he speaks about bushes, a very, very small tree that grows close to the ground and has leaves. That's a bush. So here's Andrés' story about a nudist beach.
Hey guys, this is Andrés from Colombia. Recently, I've listened to some people have shared their stories with you, so I wanna share mine with you. So 4 years ago, I went to this park in the north of Colombia called Tayrona Park, and I went there with my girlfriend at that time. And before the trip, I read on the internet that there was a nudist beach in the park. So I took note of the indications. And when we were there with my girlfriend, we decided to visit the nudist beach, and we followed the indications. So we got there, we arrived to the beach, and there was only a couple and nobody else. And the girl was topless, right? So we said, okay, let's do it. And we took our clothes off and we were completely naked on the beach. And after a few minutes, some people started to coming out from bushes at the end of the beach. So I was curious about it, and I decided to put my shorts on, and I walked directly to these bushes. And when I was arriving to the bushes, some guy came out, and I asked him, "Hey man, what's there? Where do you come from?" And he said, "The nudist beach." So guys, we were in the wrong beach, completely naked. Yeah. So that's the story that I wanted to share with you. And there is a new nudist beach in Tayrona Park. So that's my story, guys. I hope you are doing well. Bye.
Thank you very, very much, Andrés, for that story. That did make me laugh a lot when I heard it. One small thing you said, I took note of the indications. It's better to say directions. So I took note of the directions. I took note of the directions. And that story reminds me of a time many years ago when I was sunbathing on a beach in Greece, on a Greek island, and it was a nudist beach. And I was very shy about going to this beach. So I put down my towel on the sand and I laid face down on the towel because I was too shy to lay on my back and show everything. So I laid face down for 3 or 4 hours on this beach in the summer. And when I got up to leave, I had completely burnt my bum. It was red and I couldn't sit down for a week. It was so painful, especially in the shower, because that part of my body does not usually get exposed to the sun. I got severe, very bad sunburn on my bum. But now it's your turn to practice your English. Again, we would love to get your messages. You can leave us a voice message at speakpipe.com. That's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Or you could send us an email, with a comment or question. To me, your emails go to Craig, C-R-A-I-G, at inglespodcast.com, or you can send an email to Reza at belfastreza, R-E-Z-A, at gmail.com. You're welcome to visit the online store of La Mención del Inglés, where you'll find paid courses to help you with your English. The address for that is store, S-T-O-R-E, .mencioningles.net. Of course, all links to these websites can be found in the show notes on the website inglespodcast.com/425. And before I say goodbye this week, a huge thank you to all of you who are helping us by supporting this podcast on Patreon. And you too can join our Patreon program for as little as $1.20 per month. That includes the VAT tax. And by doing so, you get instant access to recent transcriptions of this podcast. So you can read every word that you hear. For more information, go to Patreon, patreon.com/inglespodcast. Now, unfortunately, there's not enough time today to mention everybody who is helping us on Patreon, but I just want to say a huge thank you to our latest supporters who have joined us recently, and they are Judith Honfi. Hi, Judith. Thank you for joining Patreon. Alberto Valverde Conde, thank you very much. Jorge Alberto Borda, Miguel Salazar, Oscar Niera, and Maite Moreno. Thank you to you and to everybody who supports us via the Patreon scheme. If you enjoyed this podcast, please tell your friends. And until next time, it's goodbye from me, and thank you for listening. The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.